world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen.
Then with a crash came a great ringing shout. Ra, Oom, Ra.
3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
Talking about Tolkien, Ben.
Talking about Tolkien, Nate.
Chapter 2 of Book 2 of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Part
it is
2.
Part 2, yeah. The Council of Nate forgot we needed to record tonight.
Yep. But you were born ready, so that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. My daughter literally went to bed like 5 minutes ago. She ran out of the room and was like, "Can I sleep with you?" And I'm like, "It's you. Go back to bed."
Now you're parenting. Now I know you've been a parent for some years. Oh man! So we've crossed a threshold with this. What was supposed to be a mini podcast. You remember when I said like 20-minute episodes wasn't going to be a big deal? How much could we like possibly talk about one chapter of a book? We finally gotten to a point where we're doing part 2 of a single chapter of a single book. And even I'm like, how did it come to this? Even I'm like, how did I talk this much about Lord of the Rings? But I really hope this is probably the most lore heavy chapter in the entire book.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's going to be very many 2-parters.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be okay. So if you're just tuning in, and this is your first ever episode of talking about Tolkien.
What a weird
bad place to start.
The middle of a book and the second part of that episode.
If you're looking specifically to hear the episode on this chapter, the Council of Elrond, this is a part 2. We did do a part 1. In part 1, we got all the way up to the part of the chapter where Gandalf tells his part of the story.
Yeah, we had Elrond told a really, really long story that spanned across all of known mortal time.
He told it in a couple of paragraphs, but like to cover every name he mentioned was a little.
Yeah, that's why you have to read the entire Silmarillion to get this. And then, if that wasn't enough, in order to understand, you also had to read The Hobbit, because Bilbo tells his story, and it's just The Hobbit. And then Frodo tells his story,
the publishing
and it's
history of The Hobbit.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be weird that he keeps going, I may have lied about how I got that ring. Turns out I wasn't given it by winning a contest of wits. I found it and then didn't give it back.
He did win the contest of wits.
He cheated. That wasn't a riddle. That wasn't a riddle.
We've
What's
been
in
over
my
this.
pocket?
I'm not going to rehash this with you. Tolkien explained it at the beginning of this book. According to the rules, the sacred rules of the riddle game, Gollum was within his rights to refuse that riddle, but because he chose to return the serve, the ball is in play now.
I see. So, yeah, he should have just let it go out of bounds. He
should have let it go out of bounds, but that was Gollum's bad. So, underhanded move by Bilbo, but not cheating.
All right. Well, let's get to
kick it off.
Gandalf's story.
You're the storyman. I'm following along in my book.
All right. So let's see. So yeah, Galdor of the Grey Havens is like, hey, you know who is a great ring lore master who could really help us out right about now? Saruman.
Long time studying the ring. Maybe like so long. It was kind of weird that he spent that long studying the ring. Especially when he kept telling us all like, oh, it got washed out to sea. It's never going to be found again. and then he just kept furiously studying the ring.
It went to sea. It'll never be found again. But also, if you happen to find just like a plain ring laying around, just
That's
hand
mine.
it to me. Yeah,
I lost it. That's mine.
Yeah. So, all right. So Gandalf is like, ooh, yeah, about that. So first, we got to go back and say that he was a little leery of Saruman, especially when found out that Sauron was the necromancer in Mirkwood, and Saruman was like, nah, let's just leave him alone. Let's not do anything about that. And then finally, when we did do something about that, it was kind of too late. That was a whoopsie. We probably should have attacked him like hundreds of years earlier.
Yeah, and he also points out that Sauron was, at the time they finally fought him, he was just very, very close to where the ring ultimately was found. And Gandalf does not think that is a coincidence. And he does not think that Saruman thought that was a coincidence.
Wait,
maybe
where the ring was found was in the Misty. Oh, are you talking about the fields?
Yeah, so it was near that river, but while the ring was found in the Misty Mountains, it was found very close to the Mirkwood side of the Misty Mountains. So he was a lot closer than Mordor. I mean, why not just be in Mordor? Why was he in Dol Guldur?
Why
Because
not indeed?
He was looking for the ring.
What?
And
but the ring washed out to sea, never to be seen again.
Saruman was also looking for the ring around there.
Never to be seen again. It's gone forever. But also, again, if you find a ring just laying around, that's mine.
Yeah, I lost it.
So Gandalf kind of has like a hunch that maybe that ring that Bilbo found is not just some lesser ring that no one could possibly care about, and it's a lot more important than it is, and we gotta go hunt down Gollum. We gotta have an entire movie or Netflix series and hunt down Gollum.
I will eventually read you the story of the hunt for Gollum. It's not quite at this point yet, because they don't find him at this point yet. Though I'm sure Peter Jackson will stretch this shit out. I'm sure they'll use like AI footage of Christopher Lee to be like, Gandalf, the ring washed out to sea. Maybe they have some like old thing of him talking that they can cut together.
Christopher Lee, I need you to say all of these lines. Don't question why, okay? We're not planning for a world without you, all right? So Strider's like, yeah, I counseled we should hunt down Gollum, and Gandalf is like, yeah, I know, I was there, okay? So then they tracked him for a bit, and then they lost track of him, right? He made it to Mordor. So then Gandalf decided, all right, I'm going to go study the ring lore. Maybe there's something at Gondor. I'm going to go there because that's where Isildur went after he got the ring, after killing him a Sauron.
Yeah.
And then
he went to Gondor for a time to train his heir for Gondor.
And he also wrote a scroll about the ring and how to identify it. And Gandalf, he mentions in front of Denethor's son that Denethor, kind of a chode, wasn't very accommodating or cool. Sure would be awesome if we had like a king of men in Gondor.
Boromir,
you know what I mean?
Boromir kind of knows his dad's a dick, but
yes,
you're to differentiate from the Denethor of the movies. What Denethor says to Gandalf is actually
Saruman was here, he studied the ring, and he didn't think it was all that important to go through these records, and if he didn't find any value, I don't think that you, a lesser not Saruman wizard, would be able to find such a thing.
He does take that tone, but he has a reason for that. And I'm going to read his quote just so you can hear how Denethor talks, and he's not a frothing at the mouth lunatic.
Yeah, he's not a lunatic. Yeah.
If indeed you look only, as you say, for records of ancient days and beginnings of the city, read on. For to me what was is less dark than what is to come, and that is my care. But unless you have more skill even than Saruman, who has studied here long, you will find naught that is not well known to me, who am master of the lore of this city. So there's two things that's going on there. The first thing that's going on there is, sure, study ancient history. That's okay. I'm under siege and I'm losing. Would love some help from the White Council if you could provide that. But no, by all means,
you're
if you're
a wizard,
here,
right? You can throw fireballs.
If you're here to look up ancient crap about a ring that no one's seen for 3,000 years, go nuts. I guess I'll just fight this siege on my own.
Fucking
Thanks,
awesome.
Gandalf.
Yeah. Can you put on my grave, I helped you find the ring, dick?
Yeah. So that's his first problem, right? That's so there's a reason he's angry. There's a reason he's not like super cool with Gandalf. And then the second thing is where he says, you will find naught that is not well known to me, who am master of the lore of the city. It kind of implies to me there that Gandalf has not been completely honest about what he's doing here. Like Gandalf is I think Denethor's like, well, just tell me what you're looking for and I'll tell you if it's there. And Gandalf's like, no, I'd rather look myself. And that's why that's the second reason Denethor is kind of pissed, because he's like, okay, sure, I guess I just exist to be a librarian for wizards. I'll go back to dying now. Thank you.
Cool.
And then Gandalf, equally kind of petty, points out that the scroll and some of the records there are in scripts and tongues that have become dark to later men, and there's no way Denethor knows everything that Gandalf could possibly be looking for, because he doesn't speak the language of that the scroll is written in. So fuck you, Denethor.
Yeah, if he spent more time learning language and less time getting killed in a siege, then maybe he would be more helpful, you know?
You know, Denethor, knowledge can be a weapon. So I'm just throwing that out there for you. Go eat a tomato, you weird little fuck.
That comes later, Ben.
I'll tell you this right now. If you ever see Denethor, and I call him Little Tomato, because if you ever see this guy eat tomatoes, what a freaky guy.
But no, Denethor, he's painted as being like a jerk to Gandalf, so we don't like him because we like Gandalf. But Gandalf is also being weird and petty, and Denethor is also like as stressed as one could possibly be. He's losing an existential war, so. And
in the span of this book, spoilers, he's going to lose a son. So yeah. So just put that down. So yeah, Isildur this is also where Minas Anor comes up, but we already covered that last episode.
Yeah.
Isildur describes the ring, including the inscriptions he saw. And then that it disappeared. Like when he first cut it off, it was red hot, but it didn't hurt him, and it had those inscriptions. He wrote down what it said, and then now it's just a plain looking ring. He also said that the ring was precious to him. It's a little throwaway thing. It's not like he's like raving mad over it, but I think that's just a little thing where the ring's got him.
Now, Gandalf gives the floor to Aragorn to talk about how Aragorn had to solo the hunt for Gollum. And I will now read you the entirety of what this upcoming movie will be based on. Okay, are you ready for this? It might take a while.
All right.
At once I took my leave of Denethor, but even as I went northwards, messages came to me out of Lorien that Aragorn had passed that way and that he had found the creature called Gollum. Therefore I went first to meet him and to hear his tale. Into what deadly perils he had gone I dared not guess. And I highlighted this line. There is little need to tell of them, said Aragorn.
No, absolutely not. We need a Netflix series or a movie.
If a man must needs walk in sight of the Black Gate, or tread the deadly flowers of Morgul Vale, then perils he will have. I, too, despaired at last, and I began my homeward journey. And then, by fortune, I came suddenly on what I sought, the marks of soft feet beside a muddy pool. Now the trail was fresh and swift, and it led not to Mordor, but away. Along the skirts of the dead marshes I followed it, and then I had him. Lurking by a stagnant mere, peering in the cold water as the dark eve fell, I caught him. Gollum. He was covered with green slime. He will never love me, I fear, for he bit me, and I was not gentle. Nothing more did I ever get from his mouth than the marks of his teeth. I deemed it the worst part of all my journey, the road back, watching him day and night, making him walk before me with a halter on his neck, gagged, until he was tamed by lack of drink and food, driving him ever towards Mirkwood. I brought him there at last and gave him to the elves, for we had agreed that this should be done, and I was glad to be rid of his company, for he stank. For my part, I hope never to look at him again. But Gandalf came and endured long speech with him. That's it. That's the hunt for Gollum.
I was going to say, I made a special note that he said Gollum stinks like shit.
I made a special note that Aragorn tortures Gollum.
Yeah.
He starves him, he deprives him of water, and he chokes him and drags him kicking and screaming to the elves. But the next interesting bit...
Well, Ben, there's 2 tiers of justice in this world, and he's a king, so he can get away with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If the tables were turned, Gollum would have to go to jail or be executed, you know?
Yeah, so Gandalf interrogates Gollum.
Yeah. And he gets all that information that he told us in chapter 2 of the Fellowship that he gave to Frodo.
Yep. And so that's the other thing. I was like, I don't... When I laugh about this movie and everybody's like, oh, Ben, give it a chance. It might be good. How? How could it be good?
How could you adapt a multi-hour-long movie out of like 2 paragraphs of text?
And that start with, there's no need to tell of it. Obviously, it sucked. Like I
not
don't...
much of a story either. It's
no.
I found him. I got him.
I found him. I beat the shit out of him. I dragged him to the elves.
Yeah, yeah.
So Gandalf interrogates him. We'll skip over that because
Boromir's like, "So you killed him, right? He's dead, right? I mean, what doom did you put him to?" And Aragorn is like, "No, we put him in jail, and that's where he is. That's where he will stay forever. He is in jail in Mirkwood."
And I'll tell you what. He is way stronger than you would think for such a squirrely little son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And if he ever got out, it would be really bad because that dude could do some damage. He knows everything about us. And he's fucking strong. Like, he could kill you. He could kill you if he got up to you.
So thankfully, we don't have to worry about him. Legolas. Actually. About that. So he's free?
How? Now, Aragorn has some pretty strong words. How came the folk of Thranduil to fail in their trust, which is old-timey speak for what the fuck did you do? How did he get out? Was there some sort of elaborate jailbreak? Was there another invisible guy who got your dude drunk?
He said,
was it the barrels again?
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
No, he said explain yourself. So now here I gotta tell this one because I am so mad at Thranduil. So
join the club. He imprisoned a bunch of dwarves. You know,
he is not making a lot of friends right now. So here's the thing, Aragorn. Gollum, we put him in jail, right? And you've seen the little Andy Serkis CGI thing. He's got big anime eyes. He's kind of cute, and he just looks so sad. And he's old, and he just wasn't having a good time in jail.
And he didn't have a dwarven beard, so we couldn't just hate him inexplicably.
And he loves, yeah, he was hairless, and that's kind of a big thing.
I like that Gloin was like, wow, okay. All right, I guess we get to rot in jail.
And he goes, look, I want to be really, I want you to know this up front, Aragorn. We watched him like a hawk, okay? But we did let him out to climb trees. We did, like, he likes climbing trees, and he looks so sad, and so we let him out to climb some trees. And then I think, personally, I think the Dark Lord was involved because, and you know how we're going to fight the Dark Lord. You guys all just said, like, he's big, he's a pretty big deal. So, like, keep in mind the Dark Lord was involved in this, probably, maybe. And so Gollum climbs trees, right? And the trees in Mirkwood, they're pretty tall. You guys have been there. And
Gloin, yeah, I was there.
And yeah, I was there too. I met you in the movie. I called your son ugly. Is that him? He likes to climb trees, and we let him climb a tree. And then one day, he climbed the tree and he just wouldn't come down. And I just want you guys to know, we watched, like, we were there, had eyes on him. And he wouldn't come down, and we're like, Gollum, you gotta come down. It's getting dark. And you guys know how orcs can't move in sunlight, right? So that's why we okay, we'll let him climb trees. So it got dark, and we weren't thinking about the orc thing. And then some orcs came and killed everybody, and Gollum got away. And I think the Dark Lord planned that. I think the Dark Lord sprung Gollum.
Yeah, maybe the Dark Lord was like there in person too. Like, I mean, it was him and like his all the ring wraiths that just jumped us out of nowhere. We didn't fail in our duty. We just got overwhelmingly attacked out of nowhere. It was crazy. You should have seen it. I mean, we still won. I mean, we beat him back, but like, man.
Yeah. I mean, Gollum must have known they were coming. Because he's so smart. He's so smart. You know Aragorn, how smart he is. And Aragorn's just like, I caught him by the side of a lake and beat him with a rock. You know how I caught him, though? You know how I got him to you? I just starved him and made sure he was dehydrated all the time and not climbing trees.
Yeah, I didn't let him climb trees.
I didn't let him eat, Legolas. This motherfucker went from Guantanamo to Sweden. Yeah, so that's Legolas's contribution to the council. Maybe that'll be in the movie. That would honestly make a better movie, as Gollum's Great Escape. Or like Gollum's Day Out, where he just has the most magical day ever.
Gollum's Day Out.
And it ends with orcs killing all the elves and he gets away. That's the happy ending of The Hunt for Gollum. And then it can end with like a little montage of him falling into a volcano.
So Sauron screwed himself here, because this is what ultimately leads to his demise.
Sauron,
you played yourself.
He's taken many steps to really screw himself here. Like, he's winning, as I said before, but like...
So he won't go and get a Balrog, because he doesn't need it, but he will get a Gollum.
Well, he wants Gollum to hunt down the ring for him.
Oh, well, you can't do that shit yourself? You got ring wraiths, bro.
Sauron doesn't super know what a hobbit is, and no one will tell him. He keeps asking people. He asked the dwarves. He's like, we heard there was a hobbit who traveled with you. What is that? And where can I find it? And Dain was like, fuck you.
Yeah, they're like dragons. They're like 3 times the size of dragons, and they live way up north and east, just way in those directions.
Probably should have said that. He probably should have been like, "You're looking south, my dude." Hobbits are
You're looking
tropical.
south now. About those 3 magic rings you promised me.
Hobbits are a tropical beast. You're going to want to...
Did Sauron look east at all? Like outside of...
No, he's pretty sure it's in the bounds of Middle Earth. I mean, he knows about the dwarf's journey, and he knows that Gollum had the ring in the Misty Mountains. So he knows that the ring was found in the Misty Mountains, and he knows that the dwarves are from the west. So I think he's probably correctly. And now at this point, he's had the ring wraith. The ring wraiths have seen Frodo use the ring, and they know he took it to Rivendell. And
Yeah,
just
by
as
this point, yeah.
as soon as they can find a living horse, they're going to go tell him that.
I'm telling. So, yeah, it turns out Mirkwood sucks again, pretty hard. That's another note.
Legolas is really carrying the reputation of the Woodland Elves here. All that shit he does that everybody's like, oh my god, Legolas is so overpowered. He needed to do that.
Yeah, because his dad's a fucking loser who just cares about money when he doesn't even need money.
No, what's he going to buy? Another tree?
Maybe he'll buy something to stop up all those barrels. You know, like a second gate.
Maybe you can just buy a vineyard. Anyway.
So yeah,
Gandalf gets a call from Radagast.
Yeah, with bird shit directly on his face, as in the movie.
Clearly mentioned, but
and I swear, so I feel like Radagast, like I read these when I was a kid, and I thought Radagast was in The Hobbit and not in The Lord of the Rings. It is the opposite. So Radagast is like, hey, Saruman has been trying to reach out to you forever. You need to go see him, and then I'm out here. I'm done. That was my entire job. I've been waiting for you forever. And then Gandalf's like, well, hold on. First, if you perhaps come across any information on, was it the ring?
I think what he says is, we shall need your help.
You know all these animals.
Send out messages to all the beasts and birds that are your friends. Tell them to bring news of anything that bears on this matter to Saruman and Gandalf. Let the messages be sent to Orthanc. And he's asking specifically for messages about the riders.
Yes, that's
because
right.
Radagast.
He said the riders have secretly crossed over, and this is when Gandalf leaves that message in Bree. Like, tell Frodo to get out now. Definitely don't wait like we originally intended. That would be really bad. And then he heads off for Isengard. And there are gatekeepers to Isengard? Who would those be? Are those just men? Like, evil men? What is that? Because they're not orcs, obviously, or else Gandalf would be like, what the fuck's going on here? I'm out.
I guess they'd be humans. I believe Saruman was given Orthanc, and presumably it is staffed.
Okay. God, I wish I could inherit property and also people.
Yeah, like I don't think I really don't think Saruman cooks.
Well,
so
yeah,
I think. Well, no, I think he has somebody do that for him.
So now he meets Saruman, and one thing that they point out is he has a ring on his finger. Is that one he made, or is that one of the great rings?
Well, I believe
or is it a fake one? I've got a ring too.
Yeah, so Saruman
he seems
sort
like
of becomes
a fucking poser.
Yeah, no, he really becomes the cringe lord here.
Cringe lord.
He's like, oh, Gandalf the Grey, the not white. you come here, and he's like, you're always butting into other
Oh yeah,
people's business.
they are not
Gandalf,
like
and
in the movie where they're like, "Oh, my old friend. Oh, it's so nice to see you." They both are just like, "Man, I really don't want to fucking talk to you right now."
so Gandalf and Saruman have a past. Saruman is jealous of Gandalf for a
Yeah,
couple of reasons.
Gandalf is cool, and Saruman's been fucking hanging out in a tower with his manservants all day.
No, I've mentioned this before, but back in the West in Valinor, Saruman is a Maiar under Aule, the smith. So he's a crafty guy. And I believe Gandalf was a Maya under Varda, Manwë's wife. And Gandalf did not want to go on this mission. He was afraid of Sauron. He does not want to fight Sauron. He was asked to go on this mission by Varda and Manwë. And one of Gandalf's thing was like he used to go among the elves, sometimes visible, sometimes not visible, and he would just sort of like help people out. And like he was very interested in people.
Disgusting.
And
absolutely disgusting. When you could be reading about a ring that washed out to sea 3,000 years ago, that is mine.
So he goes, and when he gets there, when they get off the ship, Círdan takes Gandalf aside and gives Gandalf one of the rings of power. And it's unclear if Gandalf thinks Saruman saw that, but I think he did. And he was jealous of Gandalf immediately because Gandalf in Middle-earth got all of this love that Saruman is not accorded. Galadriel wanted Gandalf to head the White Council, and Gandalf declined, saying it should go to Saruman because he was appointed the head of this expedition.
Yeah, it should go to that guy because look, let's just give him this because otherwise I will hear about this for the next 300 years.
And that's pretty much it. That's kind of their relationship. Is Gandalf has basically been avoiding Saruman all this time because Saruman is jealous and angry. And he is a poser. He is a poser in every way because Sauron was also a Maya under Aule. And he fell and switched sides and went to Melkor, who became Morgoth. And this is where Sauron... This is why Sauron knows how to make all of these things. Melkor did a little bit of everything. He was the most powerful Maya. Like Satan was Lucifer is the greatest angel. And that's why he fell, because he was so powerful. He thought himself like worthy of taking over the position of God. And that's the same sin Melkor commits. And that's why Melkor is so tempting to sort of the servants of Aule. There's this recurring theme in all Tolkien stuff. Like I think he says in the Silmarillion, love not too well the work of thy hands or something. And that's like the recurring theme is like these people, they make this shit and they forget that all they're doing is subcreation. They're just taking the stuff God gave them and doing some subtask with it. But like,
yeah, we're all made from the stuff inside of stars. So
well, I think Tolkien's thing is like the stuff you make should give glory to the ultimate maker, not to yourself, because without that ultimate maker, you didn't do shit.
That's fair, I guess. But, but also
it's a big theme.
I can only make this sub sandwich. You know what I mean? Like, I can't create life, but I can make a double decaroni pizza. So, So
Saruman, he's jealous of Gandalf. He's jealous of Sauron. He thinks like, well, I studied under Aule too. If Sauron can do this, I can figure it out too.
Yeah.
I can do everything Sauron can do.
I could be a Dark Lord even darker than him. What, you want to be the Lord of Gifts? I'm the double Lord of Gifts. I'm the king of gifts.
That is his tone, because he says, Radagast is a fucking moron.
Yeah.
He's just barely smart enough to do the task I set for him, which was to tell you to come here, and he almost got that wrong. But you know what? You don't want to take my advice. You don't want to take my good counsel. You're going to stay here, Gandalf, and you're going to be my prisoner. For I am Saruman the Wise, Saruman Ringmaker,
Many colors.
Saruman of many colors. I looked then and saw that his robes, which had seemed white, were not so, but were woven of all colors, as if they moved and shimmered and changed hue, so that the eye was bewildered. Quote, I liked white better, I said. And yeah, so Saruman, he made himself some stupid robe. He made himself some stupid shiny robe. And I think the next time we see him, he doesn't have this robe on because he really thought Gandalf was going to be more impressed by that than he was.
Yeah. Wow, he laughed in my face, so I guess, it didn't work out. I guess I'll...
You can tell Saruman doesn't spend a lot of time around anyone else. He really thought that ring was going to be like a big deal. Like, the elves made rings, Saruman. Like,
yeah, how have you not figured this out yet?
You're an angel. Like, anyone can make a ring. Like, we can make ring. We're angels.
It's been,
you made that
like
body you're sitting
years,
in,
buddy.
You made a human body, dude. Your priorities are fucked, Saruman.
I made a ring and I made a really cool cloak.
He gives basically the same speech he gives in the movie. It's a little more detailed in the book where he says,
and they don't have a slap fight with magic, Ben.
I know, thank God.
Instead, some big burly men come up behind him and they're taking you to prison now.
So Saruman gives him the spiel of like, look, you know where the ring is, don't you? That's why the only reason you wouldn't join me right now is if you think there's still some way of winning this. So why don't you tell me where the ring is? And together we could use the ring and we could overthrow Sauron with it. And Gandalf's like, the ring only goes on one hand, right?
Yeah, we can't link our fingers together and put it over our hands.
So in what universe do you expect me to believe I show up with this ring and we share it? Like I get it on like Monday through Wednesday and and we take alternate Sundays or something. Like, no, you're going to take it. Like, I'm not an idiot. And so Saruman's like, well, you're going to jail. And unlike in the movie, Gandalf just sort of surrenders. And he's like, yeah, okay. And they march him to the top of the tower, which is a little nicer. It's like a place where Saruman goes to stargaze. It's not just a cold stone roof and he's not magicked up to it. There is a door. It's locked, but there is a door. And the eagle does still rescue him, but it's not because Gandalf caught a magic moth. It's because he told Radagast to have the animals send him messages, and Radagast sent Gwahir, the Lord of all Eagles, because Radagast can apparently, like, he might not be a big deal to Saruman, but like, big deal to eagles. So Gwahir's like, so I was told to come here and tell you some things, and I see a bunch of looks like a bunch of army buildings going on down there.
Yeah.
Gandalf's like, I need to get the hell out of here. How far can you take me? And he's like, look, I'm not a taxi. Don't ever fucking think I'm a taxi.
Yeah. I can take you many leagues away, but not to the ends of the earth. So shut the fuck up if you think I'm going to take you to Mordor, okay? We're not doing that. I can't do that. I wouldn't do that even if I could, all right?
Unless you were Radagast.
Yeah.
Because he has the best herbs in Middle-earth.
Yeah, I'll take Radagast wherever, all right?
Radagast and I just cruise. You ever get super high and ride on the back of an eagle? I have Shy's attention. She wants to read this book now.
So then he goes to Rohan, and it's already fallen under Saruman's shadow. Now, there's a thing where maybe Rohan's sending horses to Mordor, and maybe not, because it makes it seem like they are, and then Boromir's like, yeah, they wouldn't do that. They love their horses. Love their
He does
horses.
say they're like kin to them.
Yeah.
I think that's meant to not be weird. I think that's just meant to be like these people really like horses.
Yeah.
Every
Like
guy
a
in
lot.
Rohan is a horse girl.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. This is one of the movies gotten to me. Because the movie changes so much with Rohan, especially the king. The king is not possessed by the ghost of Saruman.
I forget that's what happened.
Yeah.
He's like old and decrepit, and then like Saruman feels it when he becomes normal.
But he is under the influence of Saruman through Wormtongue. He is getting shit advice, and he is making bad decisions.
I don't think I'd trust anyone named Wormtongue. You know, I think that would be like, I see that on a job application, and I'm just like, okay.
That's profiling. You're going to get sued.
Ah, shit, you're right.
But yeah, so this is where he gets Shadowfax, Lord of all horses.
Yeah, I did not realize that is where he gets Shadowfax. That's fucking crazy.
Yep. Shadowfax is the most amazing horse that won't let anyone ride him, but Gandalf can ride him because he's not an eagle.
Damn right. And then that's the end of the Rohan story. Gandalf turns up in Bree and is like...
One thing that's worth looking at, just for like super nerds, is look at the map, look at the dates, and look at the distance Gandalf covered on this fucking horse. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's going to take
Lord of all horses.
Yeah. Shadowfax is the bullet train of Middle-earth. Yeah.
So Gandalf threatens violence on Butterbur. But
it's like the third person in this meeting to threaten violence on Butterbur.
And then he's like, okay, well, at least you got the message to them. Strider's with them. I guess I won't turn you into a frog or light you on fire or whatever. And then he talks about how he makes haste to Weathertop. He runs into 5 of them. He basically tells how the 9 were coordinating this whole time. How some of them were in the south. The captain was there, kind of coordinating them, and they all converged on him at night. And basically, it sounds like Gandalf's pretty OP, because in the day, against 5 of them, they don't want no part of that Gandalf. But at night, they think 9-on-1, we might have a chance. And then Gandalf endeavors to try to pull some of them off of Frodo and his trail, while they all make their way over to Rivendell, and that's where we are now. And then we have to come up with a solution. Now that we realize that Mirkwood is fucked, Saruman has betrayed us, this ring has reemerged, and if Sauron gets it, we're super fucked. Gondor is on the verge of collapse. Sauron's threatening violence against the dwarves and the men of Dale who might turn on us. Boy, oh boy, what do we do with this ring? We could throw it in the ocean. That's where Saruman thinks it is anyway. But yeah, I mean, that it gets the ring out of his hands maybe temporarily, but it doesn't solve our immediate problem that Sauron could probably just kill us all anyway. We could give it to Tom Bombadil, but he doesn't give a shit about this. He'll immediately forget about it, and sooner or later we'll get lost.
Trivia. What is Tom Bombadil's name in Elvish?
See, I knew you would ask that, and then I did not write it down.
Eorwen ben Adar.
Yeah, no, he's Tom Bombadil to me. That's the name he chose, okay? That's the name in his song,
That's
all right?
the
So the
name
elves are
he
being rude, okay?
The
He's
name
not.
does mean oldest and fatherless.
Yeah, he's saying old Tom Bombadil, Tom Bombadillo, not old Yarwin Benadar, Yarwin Benadarillo, okay?
It doesn't rhyme. It's not catchy.
So can't do that. We could take it west, and maybe even take it over the ocean to the Undying Lands, but they would send it back to us with a letter saying, "Don't give us your garbage."
Yeah, it is. This is
I saw
where.
that in the Discord where it's
Yeah,
like,
we were talking about this a bit.
this is it is a fair point to be like, it's not like Sauron is a man-made problem. This isn't global warming. This is an angel who you guys didn't quite finish off.
Not only did they not finish him off, they captured him.
What?
And they said, you need to come to Valinor
What?
you need to turn yourself in Valinor to get your sentence.
What?
And he was like, yeah, just give me like 30 days. And they were like, okay, see you in
What?
30 days. And then
What? Are you fucking kidding me?
he just never showed up again.
So the Navy SEALs bust in Pakistan. They grab Osama bin Laden and they're like, "We need you to come to America
You have been
for trial."
served.
And he's like, "All right, just give me a month and I'll show up for my execution." What the fuck? No.
Well, they weren't going to execute Sauron. They didn't even execute Morgoth the first time. Morgoth's done a lot of shit, and they tried to rehabilitate him. The Valar are
Guys,
they're adorable.
Guys, I think you fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you can't fool me twice.
You can't get fooled again.
You can't get fooled again.
Yeah, no. So this is where one of the lines from the movie comes from. Gandalf has revealed to us that we cannot destroy it by any craft that we here possess, and they who dwell beyond the sea would not receive it. For good or ill, it belongs to Middle Earth. It is for us who still dwell here to deal with.
Okay, well, how about we go west and can one of you come with me real quick? Just for a sec. I need you to use your godly immortal powers to fly to Mordor, and you're immortal, so it's not like you're a big fucking eagle that will just be killed, and then just drop this in the volcano, and then we're good. I mean,
Yeah.
he's already escaped. Like, he's out on bail. Like, he didn't show up to his sentencing.
Yeah, he was supposed to be there 3,000 years ago.
He's guilty in absentia, Like, I think maybe, just maybe, can you do something about him?
That was
He's
my
kind
question.
of big and scary, I don't think I could get him, but you can take him.
I can think of a couple of reasons for the Valar's lack of involvement. Of course, the biggest being the story has to happen.
Yeah, the story would suck otherwise.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone complains about this, it's like, well, I mean, do you want to read a story about how God just threw a ring into a volcano one afternoon and that was the end of it?
So the second thing I can think, and this is my personal headcanon, the Valar do not quite understand the children of Iluvatar, especially humanity. The elves
Why don't
are
we hang
mentioned.
out? You understand me? Grab some of those herbs, pull up a chair. We'll bust out the old GameCube or whatever, and we'll just have a few nights of hanging out.
So the elves are more like the Valar in nature. They're immortal. They kind of love the world. They're very much of the world, but they don't deal well with the constant decay and rebirth of Middle Earth. And they know that the elves are eventually supposed to leave so that men can inherit Middle Earth, and that's why they built this home for the elves. And they wanted the elves to be there. So now the elves have either, some of them refused to come, went and then turned around and went back in what was actually an epic betrayal. And
which one of those? Which is that? Is that the
the
Noldor?
Noldor.
Or, okay.
It's always the Noldor. The Noldor are the high elves of Middle Earth. If you ever hear high elf, it's the Noldor. So they are also like, the last time they interfered, they blew up half a continent. Now, they could take out Sauron with relatively little trouble. I mean, obviously, some dude took out Sauron, so surely the Valar could do it.
Yeah,
But-
all I need you to do is just drop this into that volcano, okay? You don't even have to fight him. You just have to, like, just plunk it down in there, all right? And then,
So
then we're cool.
my first thought is they don't want to interfere too much, because the children of Iluvatar are the whole point of this project. The whole world is about them. And the Valar, only Manwë and Mandos probably really even know what is supposed to happen with them. So they don't want to fuck it up. So they got to be really careful. And
We'll just go to Manwë or Mandos. Be like, hey, can I go drop this ring in the volcano?
well, I'm guessing they said no.
Damn it.
Because the plan the Valar come up with,
Fine, I'll send dreams to him.
they send, well, A, they send the dreams. B, they send 5 angels.
Well, that turned out super great, didn't it?
Which is why they're reluctant to interfere.
You know what? How about send 2 or 3 more? You know, I think we'll get it this time around.
But ultimately, Gandalf is the one that sort of came from Manwë, and he's the one that works out. But they don't want to come solve all the problems. Now, I would argue that Sauron is, of course, their problem, not our problem, like you said. But there's the second thing, that the elves of Eregion kind of are the only reason this ring exists.
Yeah.
So
They trusted a guy called the Lord of Gifts.
yeah,
Who
they're
was
just
giving them no strings attached lessons on making magic rings.
the elves were so desperate for knowledge. They were so desperate for a way to remain in Middle Earth, where they enjoy, these are Tolkien's words, they enjoy the status of a privileged class.
Wow.
They're, lords among men.
Can you imagine such a thing?
Yeah. And they want their cake and eat it too. They want to be the coolest, bestest thing and not have to deal with cooler, bester things telling them what to do. They don't want gods bossing them around. They want to have their little heaven on earth. And with these rings, they can do that. Now, of course, there was a massive fucking catch. And maybe they're like, I mean, eventually you guys have to stop doing this stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
We bailed you out after Morgoth, and now we'll try to help you with Sauron, but we'll try to help you by giving you Gandalf. We'll give you the best advice you can possibly get on how to deal with this.
And most of that advice is fucking quit it. Stop.
Most of that advice falls apart immediately and Gandalf dies. And then God himself is like, one more. You get one more. And you know what? I'm also going to give you a power up because Saruman sucks.
I mean,
yeah.
We don't have a white wizard anymore. He gave up his. He's
the many colored. I saw that. God's like, I saw that dumbass coat. No, I got you. Yeah, no, we got to do something about that. So yeah, there's a lot of good lines in this about, another thing Elrond says is, it is perilous to study too deeply the arts of the enemy for good or ill. That was one of the things Tolkien brings up a lot when people accuse him of is this an allegory for World War II? He's like, if it were an allegory for World War II, they almost certainly would have taken the ring and used it, and there would have been a ring arms race following it. because that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
In World War II.
Yeah, we put all those German scientists on try. Oh wait, no, actually, no. We pardoned them and we poached them.
We put all those German scientists in charge of NASA.
Whoops.
Eh.
Yeah, and Boromir is like, well, why don't we just use the power? And we've covered it many times that then we just have a different Dark Lord. Like Gandalf could wear the ring, go get rid of Sauron, but then we have evil Gandalf on the throne. Can't use this weapon because it will corrupt you.
And unlike the movie, Boromir accepts that. Now, one of the things you mentioned was they talk about sending it west, and they kind of use that to their advantage. That is one part of Elrond's plan. He's like, they're going to expect us to send it west because you always pick on the elves for
cowards
retreating with honor.
Retreating with honor. That's what we're going to call it.
We today have concluded an agreement to end the war and bring peace with honor in Vietnam and in
Middle Earth. Elrond says to that, the westward road seems easiest, therefore it must be shunned. It will be watched. Too often have elves fled that way. Now at this last we must take the hard road, the unforeseen road. We got to walk to Mordor. One
does not simply walk into Mordor, Ben.
I don't think he says that.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's a movie only thing.
Yeah, and
Boromir's cool in this. He's
for
just
now.
like,
yeah, for now. Yeah.
Everyone's cool for now.
Yeah.
Until you hang out with the soul-eating ring too long.
we call it Gondorization. The strategy of slowly withdrawing elves from Middle-earth while letting the southern men deal with the combat responsibilities.
You found a whole new allegory.
So,
but there's another interesting thing they say that some people overlook.
Is it the three rings or?
No, I was going to say on the subject of why we can't use the ring. As long as it is in the world, it will be a danger even to the wise. For nothing is evil in the beginning. Even Sauron was not so. So that's a reference to Sauron. Once upon a time, was a faithful servant of the Valar, who got a little too attached
and
to
then
what
jumped
he
bail.
could do.
Yeah. And then they do ask what happens to the three rings if we destroy the one ring, and Elrond is like, well, some people think that maybe it will free those three rings. I kind of think it will get rid of their power over time, and we will be forced to fuck off, as we won't be able to maintain our realms. And
I want to point out something interesting. Instead of the one does not simply walk into Mordor line, what Boromir actually says is, so be it. Then in Gondor we must trust to such weapons as we have, and at the least, while the wise ones guard the ring, we will fight on. Mayhap the sword that was broken may still stem the tide, if the hand that wields it has inherited not only an heirloom, but the sinews of the kings of men.
Fuck yeah.
And Aragorn says, who can tell, but we will put it to the test. To which Boromir replies, may the day not be too long delayed, for though I do not ask for aid, we need it. It would be a comfort to us to know that others fought also with all the means that they have. He's not only does he not do the Gondor has no king, Gondor needs no king, not only does he not do the one does not simply walk into Mordor, he's like, yeah, no, seriously, we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, I mean, right now he basically seems like my purpose here is to talk about the shit Gondor is in. So like, okay, you have this plan with the ring. Guess I'll go back and fight this siege. Oh.
And far from being, I'll be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf. I don't even think Gimli speaks at this council, by the way.
No, Gimli just shuts up. Gloin barely speaks.
Yeah, no, but Gloin, instead of saying, I'll be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf, he's the guest of the elves. He came here willingly.
Though he does make a snide mark. You didn't let us climb trees when we were in
I
your
think Gloin
dungeons.
is very justified in that. I think we're all like Legolas.
Yeah.
You need to just sit down and shut up for a minute
Yeah.
and just be glad you're not getting
Yeah.
smacked.
So what you're saying is I was right in The Hobbit when I was outraged that they kidnapped those dwarves and threw them in cells for weeks. I was right. Okay.
But Gloin actually agrees with Boromir, and he says we should probably take all of the strength we have left, join it together, and do as much as we can for the success of this plan. And that's when he suggests that like it would be a help if we could find the dwarven ring that belonged to Thror.
And sorry, Sauron kind of
Sauron nabbed that.
Yeah.
When he nabbed and tortured Thrain.
So Bilbo is like, all right, you've all talked me into it. I guess I found the ring. I guess I'll embark on this dangerous journey. I kind of thought my story was going to be, and he lived happily ever after, but I guess now it's going to be, and then he was killed in a volcano.
Kind of the polar opposite.
So I guess I'm done. And Gandalf is like, Bilbo, come on, be real. Bilbo's like, all right, that's fair. Then Frodo's like, first of all, they have an intermission to all eat like sandwiches or whatever, and Frodo's like,
Bilbo insists,
I'll do it. I don't know the way, but I'll do it.
I will take the ring, though I do not know the way. That's in the movie.
Yeah, except he says it kind of more sad and crybaby in the movie. And and they're like, all right, Frodo, we'll let you bear that ring. And then Sam is like, you're not going to send him alone. They're like, nah, you're going with Sam. And so that is how we are sending 2 hobbits out across the world all by themselves.
It does end without the you have my sword, you have my bow, you have my hand. We haven't decided on a party. The only committed members are Sam and Frodo at this point. But there's a couple of things, just a couple of lines I wanted to mention because we've gone over most of the lore. But there is a line that Elrond says that is moved to Galadriel in the movies. It is after Frodo volunteers, Elrond says, if I understand right all that I have heard, I think that this task is appointed for you, Frodo, and that if you do not find a way, no one will. This is the hour of the Shire folk, when they arise from their quiet fields to shake the towers and the councils of the great. Who of all the wise could have foreseen it? Or if they are wise, why should they expect to know it until the hour has struck? A lot of that dialogue is given to Galadriel.
This task was appointed to you, Frodo of the Shire. If you do not find a way, no one will.
And it's supposed to be a lot darker. Like, they take what is supposed to be an uplifting line where Elrond is like, I'm not going to make you do this, but if you are volunteering, I will tell you, I think that's the right call. That's the tone with which Elrond says this. And the tone with which Galadriel says it in the movie is, you're the only one who can do it, and if you can't do it, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
And I always thought Christopher Tolkien was a little dramatic when he talked about the tone shift of the movies. But I do see it. There are just certain important things where it's like, you obviously took the exact quote and gave it to Galadriel. So you read it. And I don't know, you're changing. Some of these things are like very clearly thesis statements of the book. like some of these things are very clearly meant to be like, there's more going on here. Like the Elrond has another quote that I really like where it's the road must be trod. It will be very hard, and neither strength nor wisdom will carry us far upon it. This quest may be attempted by the weak with as much hope as the strong. Yet such is oft the course of deeds that move the wheels of the world. Small hands do them because they must, while the eyes of the great are elsewhere. Like that kind of goes right along with like, I think this task is appointed to you, Frodo. And that's arguably like the thesis statement of the book. That's why the hobbits are in the book. And I do think moving that around, I know why they did it. But it I don't know, it changes some important stuff, and I think you do lose something when you change that. And there's one more quote. I promise this is the last one. But if you take the ring freely, I will say that your choice is right. And though all the mighty elf friends of old, Hador and Hurin and Turin and Baron himself were assembled together, your seat should be among them. This is Elrond name dropping every human hero of the First Age and telling Frodo, if you take this ring, if you're accepting this quest, even if all those dudes were sitting here, every single one of them you could hold your head high up with. He's like, you are going to be among the greatest elf friends, which is like non-elf allies of elves that has ever lived.
Yeah. Clean up your mess.
Elrond kind of didn't have a ton to do with most of this. Also, some of these people Elrond is related to. Most of these people, actually.
Yeah, it's amazing how like cool and chill Elrond is, and he isn't talking about how just shitty men are and how they failed to destroy the ring.
No, if anything, he sees it as his responsibility to look after the heirs of his brother Elros, who chose the human path. Yeah, that finally concludes the Council of Elrond.
Yeah. It was only like 3 hours in total?
No, it was 2.
Oh, was the last
tops.
episode just 1 hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 hour, 10 minutes.
All right. 220.
220 tops. Too much, but
yeah, too much for one, for sure.
I don't know. What do you do when you have every main character in the book in one room, all talking about like the
so
most
what you're
important
saying
stuff
is
that's ever happened?
This is the Avengers of Middle Earth.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Got that. You got the.
You're not doing much to. You're not doing much to disprove Christopher Tolkien's thing that they tried to turn this into a big dumb action movie.
I mean, it was kind of a big dumb action movie, right?
It had more men crying than most big dumb action movies, and that's why it won all the Oscars. That and that fucking soundtrack. The soundtrack rocks.
That soundtrack is solid. Yeah.
You can't fuck with that.
That shit's iconic. I don't think the movies were bad. I just think that now that I'm reading the book, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is definitely an adaptation that isn't better than the source.
I've rewatched them fairly recently, and I do think they're starting to feel their age.
How dare you?
Like I can feel the 2001 of it all watching it.
Is it really 2001? Oh my God, it is.
I remember.
Oh my
if
God.
you look at cast photos out of costume, and you will not be surprised it was 2001. Every press conference, it looks like a new metal band.
It was just barely a post 9/11 world, Ben.
They were filming,
but they were filmed pre 9/11. Yeah.
I remember being on the Entmoot forums because there was no there was no social media back then.
Oh my god!
there
Yeah,
were
I guess that is the
forums.
precursor to social media.
Yeah, so I was
Little
on the-
individual forums for everyone, every
Yep.
little niche.
I think it's still around. I think Entmoot. I don't know
So
if it's
Zuckerberg really
Entmoot.net
didn't do a
or-
whole lot, is what you're saying. He just took the forum concept and made it like more mainstream.
Was that a secret? How do you think he?
And I guess MySpace also had him beat there. So
Yeah, no. Do you
Remember
think Elon
MySpace?
Musk builds the rockets? I got news for you about all billionaires, Nate. None of them did anything revolutionary. Like Jeff Bezos books, but what if online?
what about Bill Gates?
Bill Gates actually probably came the closest. Steve Jobs and Wozniak, they actually did their stuff. Bill Gates did his stuff. But then this has nothing to do with Tolkien. But like I'm at a point where it's like I was reading some investment stuff and somebody pointed out that Tesla is valued like in the trillions now, and their last sales figures were closer to like 90 billion, and so it's like they're valued at like almost like more than
100 times,
more
than 100 times their actual
profit
speculation.
or their actual revenue.
He's gonna get that AI, and he's gonna get us to Mars by 2024. We're gonna be in Mars, Ben.
Or he's gonna blow the retirement of a lot of investors. I don't know which you think is more likely.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the road must be trod even when the eyes of the great and the powerful are elsewhere, Nate. There you have it. Council of Elrond. The next chapter will be The Ring Goes South, chapter 3 of book 2. And we'll get to find out who's in the fellowship. Is it going to be Glorfindel?
Yeah.
Or Galdor? Awesome. Or is it going to be all the people whose names you actually know?
Círdan's gonna ride from the west. He's gonna help. He's gonna build us a ship that flies. We're gonna fly an airship.
Bet your sweet ass Bill the Pony is gonna be there.
He better be.
I'm looking forward to the return of Bill the Pony. Let's see if that happens next time on the adventures of talking about chapters of Tolkien podcast.
Yeah. Esquire.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door which began. Now far ahead the road is gone, and I must follow it, if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet. And whither then, I cannot say.